So, hello everybody. So the idea today is to talk a bit about OWASP projects in general, and the focus is going to be on what we call at OWASP the flagship projects, which are usually the more mature projects that we have, the ones that are kind of production ready. Those are ready for use immediately. So OWASP has a ton of other projects that I'm not going to mention here. I'm not going to mention all of the flagship products because there is no time. But this is kind of my take of what are the main projects that we can use from OWASP that are ready now. I am, as Carlos said, I've been involved in OWASP for about 15 years, I guess. I've done a little bit of everything. I've been a chapter leader, project leader, was in committees, I organized conferences. So the first thing I want is congratulate the team for the conference. That's a big achievement. I was in the OWASP conferences committee. We used to choose the locations, and I know that's difficult to convince. And so, congratulations. It's going to be great. And Portugal is the best place to do a conference. So it's gonna be great. So the idea today is to focus on two aspects of OWASP projects: documentations and tools. So basically, documentation is about written things, books, manuals, things like that, and the tools is software, things that we can use. So starting with the main one. So OWASP is known all over the world for the OWASP Top 10. So if you talk about OWASP, some people sometimes talk about OWASP and they mean the OWASP Top 10. So that's how it happens. So, you work with OWASP. I know OWASP and I use it. Okay, what do you use? So usually they're talking about the OWASP Top 10. And the OWASP Top 10 has evolved over many years, but the main idea is to list the top 10 main risks for application security. The idea is have a very focused list, something that we can have very limited. So we don't want to talk about all the risks because it's a lot, it's too much. So we focus on the top 10, the most important ones, and it's an excellent starting point for any application security program because you can focus on what's more important. The OWASP Top 10 is database, so OWASP collects data. So companies provide data to OWASP, and that's where the classification comes from. So the top 10 we're seeing that are listed by OWASP are the top 10 problems that have been seen by a big group of companies in a lot of different installations as being the most prevalent problems and risks we have in application security. So, those are the categories for the OWASP Top 10. The last one was done in 2021. Usually it's renewed every 3 years, more or less, so we kind of expect something for next year from the OWASP Top 10. Maybe by the mid or end of this year, we're going to have the call for data. So the team, the OWASP Top 10 team, will start asking companies to provide data so they can start doing the data analysis based and get the categories and rank them in the right way. So those categories, from one version to the other, they switch position. That's pretty common. Some vanish, some are combined. So it changes quite a lot between one edition and the next. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we have the most traditional ones here as injection, SQL injection, cross-site scripting. So those things are going to be listed and described. I think Snake is going to be happy that we have here the outdated components. So that's we have tools to help us, but that's a risk and we should take care of it. And we have other categories that we should be taking care of. The next one, and that's one I like quite a lot, the cheat sheet series. That I'm always sure that never pronounce it right, but I hope you get it. So the idea here is to have short documents. That's the cheat sheet idea. So you have documents with 1 or 2 pages about a very specific problem, a very specific issue. The idea is not to explain everything about it. The idea is to go straight to the core of what's important. So a very short description of what the problem is and how do we fix it. That's the whole idea. So, and it's a huge series. There are a ton of documents in the cheat sheet series. And it's extremely useful if you want to quickly know about any kind of web application security vulnerability. That's the main focus. So this series, we kind of go back to it later on, but that's one of the most useful things for the security practitioner and developers that need to understand about a certain problem quickly, get a solution, and then move on. We have a broken picture. Okay, so the next one is the SAM, Software Assurance Maturity Model. So the idea of the SAM is to define a maturity model to see how mature an organization is with relation to the activities that need to be done to make the software secure. So it's about the organization, how you structure the organization, how are the practices that the organization needs to have in place so that you can not only assess the maturity of a program, but also understand how do you go to the next level in terms of maturity. So you start at 0, let's say, when you don't do much, you don't do many software security activities, and then you can have level 1, level 2, level 3, and then the document is structured in a way that you can have different areas of that you need to focus, like developer training, tools, the governance side is also covered. So it's a very broad set of items that are assessed to understand how mature the organization has become with relation with software security. And it's useful in both planning and evaluating. So you evaluate where you are and you start using the activities that are described in the model as the basis for planning the next steps. So what are the next steps? Where should I go? Where I am today and where should I go in the future? Okay, we're having trouble with the pictures. Yeah, internet is offline. Okay, whatever. We can. That's okay. So the ASVS is a standard. That's a document that's defined a standard on how do we verify the security of an application. So the idea here is to get an application and understand, is this application done the right way? Is it developed using secure practices? Does it have all the controls that I need to make an application safe and secure? So that's the main goal of the ASVS. You're going to be able to use it to generate metrics on a single application. It can be using a procurement process, saying I want to buy an application, but I want it to be at the assurance level 2 for the ASVS. So it means that there is a very broad description of what needs to be done, what the application provider is going to have to do for making sure that you're buying some software that is made in a secure way. So, yeah. Next one. Yep. Okay, so.
not use computers,
that's
so
good. Yeah,
it's an excuse.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next one is the API security project. So the API security project developed another top 10. So OWASP has many top 10. We have the OWASP top 10, the most famous one, and we have those specialized top 10. This is one of them. That's a top 10 for API security. So it's going to talk about issues that are specific to API security. We're not going to talk about general stuff in terms of application security anymore. So yeah, we're going to have the things like broken object level authorization, lack of resources and rate limiting, I don't know, things that are common also with the OWASP Top 10, insufficient logging and monitoring. So you can have things here that affect APIs that are similar to the generic OWASP Top 10, but some of it are going to be very specific. And here the idea is the same. Understand what are the most important aspects of API security and deal with them in the proper way. The API security project also have one of the cheat sheets on the cheat sheet series, and that's an interesting one because it's for GraphQL, which is usually tied to APIs. So that's a query language to be used in APIs, and they're going to be in the cheat sheet. You're going to see a lot of best practice and recommendations on input validation, DoDs, prevention, access control, batching attacks, and so on. So all this in a compact form. So you're going to have the top 10 where you have a longer description, more information. Here it's going to be more direct to the point. If you just want to deal with the specifics of GraphQL, this is the cheat sheet that will help. Another very old project in OWASP, testing guide. It's one of the first, I think, also. And the testing guide is based on that. How do I test applications? How do I test web applications? That was the goal when they started writing that document. And it's now version 4.1, I believe, so it has evolved over time, and it has a ton of information inside. It's very useful for people that are interested in pen testing web applications, or even people that want to protect web applications for certain classes of attacks. But it's structured in the way that you're going to define test objectives. It's going to help define the objectives of the test. It's going to define the techniques like black box, white box, manual code reviews, talk about tools, all this, and also mention remediation. Remediation is not the focus of the testing guide, but it's going to mention a little bit as well. So it's a very thick guide with a ton of stuff inside, and that's let's say on the other end of the spectrum from the cheat sheets. This is a big document with all the information you can think of about testing web applications, when the cheat sheets are small and only have the most important portion of it. Another interesting project now for mobile applications, so mobile application security, and they produce a ton of documents, basically 3 main documents. One is the mobile version for the ASVS, the Application Security Verification Standard. So how do we verify the security of mobile applications? So we have a phone application, iPhone, Android, whatever, that's the focus of the project. So it's specializing the ASVS into the universe of mobile applications. they also have the testing guide. So this is a kind of focused version of the testing guide for mobile applications. So while the testing guide has the idea of being generic in web applications in general, this one will be focusing on the mobile applications development for phones and so on. And they also have a checklist which is trying to kind of compile all that information in a quick checklist that we can go and just verify that we're doing everything that we should be doing in terms of mobile application security. Also, the mobile application project, they have another top 10. So that's the mobile top 10. And this here is the alpha version that they are going to release this year, a new version of the mobile top 10. And basically what we have here is the current plan. So it's still alpha, it can change, but it's probably not going to change much at this point. So basically here it's what it was, what it looked like in 2016, the last edition, and this year's edition is going to look slightly different. Yeah, and here it's just what is different. So a lot of new things, a few things moved, and so on. So the only thing that didn't change is M3. So kind of, we can see that there are a lot of changes in that universe here for mobile applications. And yeah, tools. So now, what is the most well-known tool that OWASP produces? I believe it's ZAP. Attack Proxy. So this is the application used for testing the security of web applications. If anyone knows Burp Suite, this is the open source version of it. So it can do more or less everything Burp Suite does. And yeah, it comes for free and it's open source. It's basically the monster in the middle proxy. It stays between the browser and the application. It's going to intersect everything that is going through from the browser to the web server, and then you can manipulate, you can change, you can search and do everything with the content that's being transmitted. So basically, yeah, between the browser and the web application, you have ZAP here, being able to see, change, delete, whatever, in all the data here. And it also has automated scans, and it allows for manual scans of specific vulnerabilities, that well-known vulnerabilities that exist in the web application. You can do crawling, automated testing, and a lot of stuff. So, yeah, we have the image. So this is a screenshot from ZAP. It looks complicated, but after a while you start understanding this. So basically this is the tree of everything that was crawled on the website. Here in this side you can see basically request, response. This is a response. What was the response in terms of the headers, and here the content. So yeah, you have the basics of the interface. And it has a ton of other things that you can use, like fuzzers, you have history, and so on. So yeah, Spider to crawl the site and find all the URLs. It has a ton of functionality. Next tool, which is quite interesting, the dependency track. So dependency track is the OWASP tool that allows you to check what components are being used in your application and check which ones are vulnerable. So you can then, from all those components, understand which ones you need to update. And it looks more or less like this. I'm not sure you can see very well, but here it's kind of the main dashboard where you can have metrics about a specific project and how it's evolving, if it's going improving or not. And here you can have the specific vulnerabilities that were found, and then you can get more information about them. Yeah, Together with the dependency track, there is Cyclone DX, which is another OWASP project. Cyclone DX is basically the tool that will generate the BOM, the bill of materials that's ingested by dependency track. So Cyclone DX, which is this guy here, gets the source code, extracts from the source code all the information about all the components that are used, so which libraries, which versions and everything, and it allows this to be done in a standardized way. There is a standard format for that, that then can be ingested by dependency track or other tools, and then dependency track can use that information to provide you all the graphs and all the nice reports. Another projects. This one is really also really nice. Juice Shop. Juice Shop is a broken application. Juice Shop is used for learning. Can be used for CTFs if you want to do some kind of capture the flag type activity in a organization, a company. And yeah, you can see the vulnerabilities in the real world. That's an application that kind of looks real. It could be a real kind of web online shop application. And so it shows how those things would look like. All those vulnerabilities that we hear about, that we read about, they are there. They have specific examples of how do you detect them, and how also you can think about how to fix them. So this is how the Juice Shop looks like. So this is the interface of the web shop, and here is the interface for a scoreboard if you want to do a capture the flag kind of activity. So each user will have will get a score, which I think it's here, and you can check who is winning, who found more stuff, and which they call the flags. So who found more of the flags and did a better job as of finding all the things in the application. Finally, I think it's the last one, the Defect Dojo. Defect Dojo is an open source vulnerability management platform. So it allows you to ingest information about vulnerabilities from a lot of different sources. So you can get commercial tools, open source tools that will scan your code and find a lot of vulnerabilities. So one of the main problems is, how do I get a standard view of all those things? So I either need to use the interface for each tool, or I need to create a tool. So that's the idea of Defect Dojo. Add all the information to a single database that can show you everything from all the tools, and it's standardized the way it does. That it will have some deduplication, and you can configure how you want to handle this. You have a small workflow on how things should be handled. So basically, this is a very small thing. So you have a dashboard showing Defect Dojo, how it shows which projects have more vulnerabilities, which kind of vulnerability affects more of your systems, and all that. Okay, that's the last one, I hope. So core rule set. So the OWASP mod security core rule set. So for those that don't know, mod security is a module for Apache, the web server, that allows you to basically create a web application firewall. So you can install Apache, install mod security on top of it, and you have kind of a web application firewall. The problem is, the web application firewall does nothing if you don't configure rules on top of it, just like any firewall. And configuring rules for web applications is a bit more complex than configuring rules for a traditional network firewall. And so the core rule set is an idea to have a standard set of rules that everybody can use to protect their web applications. So it's going to have a few parameters that can be configured. You can fine-tune it, but basically you have a really big set of rules that are predefined that will help you detect and prevent lots of kinds of different attacks that can happen to a web application. So the core rule set is used by a lot of companies to protect or even sometimes to provide commercial services that are based on those rules. And yes, so a few things you can do. Visit the OWASP website. That's a ton of more information. Much better descriptions of the tools. You can, that's open source. You can download all those tools. You can try it. You can see by yourself. And yeah, join a local WASP chapter. Join us. And I think that's it. Thank you.